Hello, everybody, and glad you can join me. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Today, we're going into another room rumble, basically me entering a room, talking with the people in there, and seeing if I can get my position across to them, have some discussions, have some disagreements, essentially just going into a area that I have never been before and disagreeing with them. So this was a weird one. My friend Justin sort of told me that these guys were accepting calls from atheists. I saw a come in and talk to us atheist kind of thing. So never being one to back down, actually went in and spoke to them. Now, the main girl who was running the channel, or woman I should say running the channel, is Kniesha, and she sort of didn't really have a lot to say at first. I think that one guy took over at first, talked about sort of what atheism is, but really what I got a sense of, and as you go along, you'll see this, it wasn't really the atheism that had a problem with it. It was sort of all the things around it, sort of, and their position is what I would call anti-science, essentially. They essentially rejected any science which disagreed with a young earth creationism stance of the Bible. So you'll see me go in and try to understand where they're coming from and start to explain to them the science that they really are ignorant about. Now, this is probably going to be a three-parter, so this is the first of three, and we will get to see their objections in the second part and third part, mostly around evolution, basically. There's some disagreements going on, but sort of trying to explain my position to them, they really seem like they've never actually been challenged on this stuff before. They seem completely unaware of how evolution works. They seem completely unaware of what an atheist actually is. It seems like they really have no comprehension of what's going on as it pertains to atheism, evolution, abiogenesis, all of these subjects. But we're going to go in and let's get ready to rumble.
Hello, Mark.
Hello. Hey, how you
Hi.
doing?
Blessed. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you?
Doing really good. Doing really, really good. The last guy was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I had some comments on that. I think that he is right when he sort of says that atheism isn't actually a religion as such. And when you say sort of atheism is a worldview, I think that it can be part of a worldview, but I don't think it's a worldview by itself. Like,
I
for
would agree,
instance,
yes.
you can be an atheist and not be a materialist, for instance. Like you could believe in just
Right.
say energy, spiritual energy through crystals or whatever you believe in. It's not material, so it's not materialism, but you're still an atheist if you say, well, it's not God's. So atheism is just the answer to one proposition, which is, does a God exist? In the strictest sense, either you say yes and you're a theist or no and you're an atheist. It doesn't necessarily make a worldview, but it makes part of my worldview. I won't deny that.
That would kind of be like I would agree with that. And I've said that multiple times on my channel and on this very panel is that atheism alone is not a worldview, but it does
Right.
come with some baggage, and that's the whole point. Is that the baggage that comes along with that is the worldviews that we are trying to challenge. So it's
Well,
not the atheism within itself, but it's the worldviews that come with, which is the baggage that we are trying to get, kind of go through.
I don't. What baggage would that be? Like, if you're sort of asked, does a God exist, and you say no, is that sort of the baggage that you're talking about? Because it seems
No,
like
that
you're ascribing a whole load of extraneous things, like some outside things, to what atheism is, which is just whether or not you believe that a God exists.
right. So what all I'm saying is that atheism, just like what Christianity in particular leads to certain things. Atheism leads to certain belief systems, like just for what it is, And so, again, atheism by itself, without anything attached to it, is just a disbelief system. I will agree with that 100%. But with that disbelief, now atheists fight for something that's outside of just that disbelief, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does.
Well, Mitch, I really want
So
to push
like,
back on the idea of system there, because I don't like, it's not really a system. It's just that if you get asked, like, does a God exist? And you say yes, then you're a theist of some sort, either Christian, like, so the religion, like, theist gets broken down into a number of religions. Like, you've got Muslims, you've got Hindus, you've got all of these different religions. An
I believe in a
atheist
God.
is
Yeah.
just right, they believe in different gods, sure, but they're all theists. They're all under that one category of theists, like
exactly,
people
yeah.
that believe in a god, right? So an atheist is just someone that says, no, a god doesn't exist. So they're an atheist. It doesn't mean that it's a system of belief. There's no requirement for any other belief attached to it. Like, for instance, a religion, Christianity, you know, you have to believe and follow the Savior Jesus Christ, you know, et cetera, right? Like, that's a requirement to be a Christian, definitionally. With atheist, it's not the sort of saying, hey, you've got a requirement to do anything. It just says, to that one question, that one proposition, does a God exist? You've said no. You could believe in ghosts, you could believe in fairies, you could believe in anything else and still be an atheist. Hey, Kip.
Yeah. So all I'm saying here is, again, like, it's not the atheism within itself. I've said this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the atheism itself that is the baggage or the system. It's the things that lead to it, right? So the atheism leads to certain belief systems.
Like,
that's all I'm
saying.
saying.
An example, Mitch, just an example, mate. I wouldn't mind just an example so we know.
Yeah. So like, okay,
like Darwinism or.
So evolution.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, how did Darwin come to that conclusion, right? I mean, right, he had I don't know if he was a humanist, right, but how did he come to the conclusion that we came from apes, or specifically from a fish and then apes? Or, I mean...
Well, he made a conclusion about animals first, so that what he saw was like the finches on Galapagos Islands with their beaks in a slightly different shape. And he noticed that in certain geographical locations, when they were separated from interbreeding, they would have things to help them. They would naturally have all of these different properties to help them. And he theorized that through selective breeding and a natural selection, they would change to adapt or to evolve to their environments. So he started to observe this, and then he sort of observed the same things with, for instance, chimpanzees who live generally in more wooded and jungle areas, and humans that came from the savannah. So he kind of proposed this first about animals and then extrapolated to humans.
So with that being said, and thanks for coming on, Mark. You're the one that asked me for my email earlier, right? I think that was...
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to set up a discussion or something. I was sort of saying on my channel, like, maybe debate is a bit too confrontational, because I do a debate a lot, but I don't mind having conversations as well and just discussing things. Yeah,
either word doesn't... I don't get like nervous for either word or anything like that.
Okay.
But just thank you for coming. That's what I was going to say. Thank you for coming on. So using Darwin's evolution theory, like with the finches and everything like that, how long did he take, from your knowledge that you know of, how long did he take to watch this happen?
Well, it's not just him. We don't have evolution today just on Darwin's
right. I know that, but your example you just gave, like,
I think it was years and years he spent traveling around on, I think it was the Beagle was the name of the ship, going from place to place and solidifying his ideas. Then, you know, as time progressed, we found more and more information to back it up, or, you know, there weren't any scientists at the time. They were called naturalists. They were a lot of Christians, a lot of deists, a lot of different people who just studied natural things. And more and more evidence was accrued to support his hypothesis. But he spent years and years and years on it. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how long.
So the only reason why I'm asking that specifically is because, like, evolutionists say in order to see evolution happen, right? Macro evolution, not micro, you need millions and millions of years, right? The changes that happen on the finches, from my understanding, I got an echo somewhere. From my understanding, we're slight changes, like in the beak being modified, which we can see that with animals, kids. I mean, my kids don't look exactly the same as their brother and sister, right? Like they vary. So
Yeah.
these are, I don't think that these prove evolution. I think this just proves one kind making another kind, like the same kind. Like it's the same kind. It's just having different variations. I don't believe it's a change in species like altogether. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, if that's the only thing we observed, then sure, I get what you're saying, but there's sort of mountains of evidence that support it. Darwin spent about 20 years studying it, by the way. So macro and micro evolution is exactly the same process. It's like sort of we put a demarcation or sort of a border in between species level changing and a long change, but that isn't a real thing. It's just something that people call it. It's like that we've separated time into seconds and minutes. There's no actual there's no actual physical thing that separates them. It's just we call one thing that goes for a long time a minute and another thing that's goes for a short time a second. There's no actual thing there. It's exactly the same process. So when people use micro and macro evolution, they're misunderstanding that they're exactly the same process with different names for time frames.
So do you have an example of where we can see evolution happening today?
Where we can see evolution happening today?
Like where I can
sure.
Let's say I can personally, literally, actually book a ticket, fly to some place and actually see it happening.
Sure. Well, one of the best examples is a family in Brazil who have 6 fingers on each hand, and they're passing that genetically down to their offspring. Like they will have 6 fingers. They're very good at piano playing, very good at basketball. Silva family, I believe it is. There's another one that we can observe that's double density bones, which we get certain people in certain families because they keep passing the genetics along of people whose bones don't break. They go into accidents, they don't break. Problem is they have a hard time swimming because they have density bones, right? Like, so they find it really difficult to swim because they weigh more.
Right, yeah.
Right, but in studying that, we can go, okay, well, if that's beneficial to, say, people that live, say, landlocked, okay, they don't have any access to any lakes or oceans or whatever, that's a really beneficial trait to have double density bones because, of course, not breaking bones is really helpful. But if you're like living on the coast and swim a lot, it's not so helpful. And this is how environment plays into what is selected for and what is selected against. But these are traits that have come up that are being passed along hereditary, and that's all that evolution is. Evolution is a change in a little frequency over time, or to make it simpler, a passing of genetic traits down, beneficial genetic traits down. That's essentially what it is. You're muted, Kniesha.
Sorry about that. So,
no worries.
But they're still humans, though. That's the thing. I can see the traits passing down because that's what happens. I mean, same thing. If I had blue eyes, I keep passing blue eyes, and maybe a brown eye would come and then skip a blue eye type thing.
My color's a bit different, but sure.
Well, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about something as dramatic as like a fish turning into a human. Like, I mean,
right.
There are dramatic claims that this is actually where we came from, and we didn't actually originate from cavemen. The cavemen actually came from this, and then that came from that. Like, so what was the original start, and do we have evidence of it? Not theories, because I know we have theories. Do we have evidence of that?
Yeah, well, we can go back a certain way. I mean, at a certain point, there's got to be, because basically in the fossil record, as you go down layers, you will get like a point where you're not going to find birds anymore. Well, you're not going to find humans anymore. You're not going to find mammals anymore. You're not going to find vertebrates, things with a backbone anymore. And they get towards what we call more basal. So At a certain point, you're only going to find, crustaceans or fish, then crustaceans, then, simple clams, and then this sort of simpler, although that's a bit of a misnomer, it's more basal, until we get to single-celled organisms, right? And that's all that's down there. So why, going back in history through these geological layers, do we just find things that are simpler and simpler and simpler until we get to single-celled organisms and none of that kind of stuff? The reason is because it's developed over time, but we're talking about billions of years. So to see a fish go into a human, we'd have to observe it for millions, if not billions of years. But dogs have actually only been domesticated in the last, 50,000 years max. And we've changed them significantly from being wolves in that amount of time. If you extrapolate that to billions of years, imagine the changes that could happen if you had that amount of time. Like, you can get a wolf down to a pug dog in tens of thousands of years. If you have 1 million, that's significantly longer. You can make much more vast changes.
But wouldn't that be just another case for faith, because you guys can't see these things? These are, in a true sense, theories, because you can't physically test it in front of you. Something as dramatic. I'm talking, because the reason I'm saying this, Mark, and just listen, hear me out, okay?
I am, yeah.
So something as dramatic as God existing, that's a pretty drastic claim. That's right. I mean, come on. Sure. It's the same thing in my mind. I won't speak for them. It's the same thing in my mind for if you were to say that we can't see it, we can't really test it or understand it, but we know that this dramatic change, something as so far as a fish to a human, happen. We can't observe it, we can't see it, we can't repeat it, but we believe it. Can you see how equally it's something that is a dramatic claim? I mean, it's not like a small claim, like I put a pencil here to here. You can believe I could put a pencil here to here. This is dramatic. Do you see what I'm saying? So from a believer standpoint, how would you convince me of something as dramatic as that?
Okay. Well, for a start, the thing is where it's induction, right? We're extrapolating out from what we see into the future. It's like saying, hey, 1 billion years will pass into the future. And me saying, well, you haven't seen 1 billion years. You've only seen, 80 years or whatever your lifespan is. So you couldn't know that for sure, that 1 billion years will pass. The point is, and things like the Pluto going around the sun, for instance, we've never seen that in our lifetime. We've never seen it make a complete circuit, ever. But based upon the data that we have of the way that it's happening, that's how we extrapolate that, hey, it will happen into the future, because we've never seen that occur. But we know it's going to happen because of physics, of course, the things that we've studied. Now, for a non-believer, what I would sort of point at is that the amount of studies done on it, one of the most compelling things I think that we find is that we find that there are remnants of viruses in both us and chimpanzees that could not have gotten there by chance. They are viruses that they're called endogenous retroviruses, and they are at the same spots within us and chimpanzees, for instance. Now, the only way they could have gotten there is if they're passed down from parent to child at some point in the past. And there's a few of these viruses that we actually have written into our DNA that we share with fish. Same thing, same location, the exact same virus that's been passed down from father to child.
I think, and I'm gonna let you guys have the floor. I don't mean to hog all the floor tonight. I believe that us having similar traits, and not just traits, but things in our blood, in our DNA, and all this kind of stuff. Biblically speaking, Mark, because you sound just as crazy as I sound crazy to you. We're talking about Bible stuff, you talking about this stuff. It just
that's fine, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to do my best to tell you my beliefs, and you as you are doing yours. So, biblically speaking, we came from the dust of the ground, okay, earth. Same with the animals as well, came from the ground as well. Same with the plants. And what's very unique is that there is a similar DNA code between all existence, right? When I say all existence, let me say mammals and plants and humans and whatnot. Scientifically, that has been proven. There's a similar what's the correct word, guys?
Structure, double helix. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the word, but we're all similar, very similar, like genetically speaking, we're very similar. But that would, in my point of view, and it's not just because of this, but in my point of view, that would line up exactly with what God said, how when he made us and why we are so similar in that case. Like what we're made up of. I can't remember exactly. I'll pull it up while you guys are talking because I don't want to misquote.
I don't think he made everything the same according to the Bible. I could be wrong, but I think that he made humans from dust. But for instance, woman, he made from a rib of Adam, so that wasn't made the same at all.
Right, but woman coming from the original thing made is going to have a DNA similarity to it. It's not because it's duplicating in a way, right? Of course, one's woman, one's male, but it's a duplicate.
But I don't think in Genesis that he created the animals from the dust. I don't think it says how the animals were created. I think it just says that he, on the first day, God created the heavens and the earth kind of thing. And then, later on, he just created them. I'm not sure how it was done.
So they all came from, so he speaks of in the scripture, and again, I can pull all this up as you guys are talking. I don't want to hog the mic again. I know I've been doing that all night, guys. I'm sorry.
Are you good?
Oh no, I'm sorry. He does speak of animals going back the way they came from the ground, going back to the
ashes
ground,
to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah, but animals specifically, and I'll pull up the verse so I don't misquote anything. But they said they come back from the ground as well.
Yeah, it says actually right here. It says in Genesis 1:24. It says, "And God said, let the earth bring forth the creatures according to their kind, livestock and creeping things and beasts and of the earth according to their kinds." So they came from the dust of the earth as well. Yeah.
Right. And
so here's my thing. So and I'm just going to do this real quick because I got to go. I got to get up in the morning for work. But so just a quick question, and this kind of aligns with it. So everything that you're talking about kind of sounds like it has a purpose, or it has a structure, like something that is very specific, right? Very fine tuned, right? And I know you probably know where I'm going with this, but would you be an atheist that believes that that everything is basically just random processes put together?
Well, it depends what you mean by random, because a lot of people thinking that evolution is random. It's not random, it's deterministic, right? So deterministic just means it follows a process. That process is governed by natural selection. So like I said, if you have double density bones, right, and you're a sea creature, for instance, that may not be advantageous. That might be a real problem. Or if you're a bird and you have double density bones and it weighs a lot, that might be a disadvantage. But if you're a bird and you have light bones, that's an advantage. Is it random that the ones with lighter bones and wings survive, are able to fly away a lot better than from predators? No, it's not random, but there is a sense of randomness in it. Like mutations may occur sort of randomly. So those properties, like when you have a child and one is stronger than the other, right? And just say that you live in medieval times where your survival is based upon strength, or you're in a Viking situation or something. Is it random that the stronger child is the one to survive and propagate and the frail child does not? Well, no, it's not random, even though one child being really strong and one being really weak is random.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I was about to point out, is that the randomness of this is that one has that and one does not. The randomness is not how they adapt to the situation to be able to survive. that would not be the randomness, right? So, but those are two different concepts. But when it comes to creation itself and the way that the universe was created or whatever, do you believe in like the Big Bang? Are you one of those?
Yeah, we've got a lot of evidence for the Big Bang, sure.
Okay. So was that a random process?
What do you mean? Is it a like the Big Bang isn't the origin of the universe, it's the start of the expansion period.
I would agree.
I don't know what happened before the Big Bang, and since space-time, like the fabric of the universe, space-time, it's easiest to call it the fabric, it's just the background of it. Because that is time, I don't even know saying before space-time or before the Big Bang is actually coherent at all, because without time, you can't really have a before. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand what was before that, and neither does any physicist really. We extrapolate backwards to, I think, one Planck epoch after this presumed start, but that's where physics kind of breaks down. So I personally don't think anybody knows what happened to begin the universe.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Outside of God, of course, in my worldview. But I think.
Well, why do you believe that? Like, why do you believe that?
Well, that's a whole different thing. So we can get into that. That's fine. But back on this, so after said Big Bang, and everything just kind of started falling into place and everything like that, was that a random process in itself? Like the rules that, the laws of gravity and the laws of whatever else, were those random processes, or were those something that had to be put in place specifically?
Well, I don't know about the laws. When you sort of said everything fell into, I'm assuming you're talking about sort of nucleo fusion and things like that, like the stars,
like us and the Earth and everything like that, like all matter. Yeah.
Well, that's accretion disks, right? So basically, under the influence of gravity, dust accumulates around large bodies like stars, and it accumulates into like bits and pieces just under gravity, and then it starts to accumulate. And over an incredible amount of time, enough accumulated to start to form bodies, kind of thing. Was it random? No, it's determined by gravity and matter and time and all of these forces in the universe. Did our universe form with those values, like the gravitational constant and things, speed of light, for instance? Was that random? I don't know. Like, I don't have any other universes to check. I can't go, well, does this universe over here have exactly the same constants, or does it have completely different? If it's completely different, well, it might be random. If it's exactly the same, then it's not random, and that's how universes form. I've got no idea, because I can't access any other universe. The fine-tuning argument, though, it kind of breaks down, because we don't, like, sort of saying, well, what's the chances of all these forces coming out at the levels we need to form a universe, right? It must be incredibly opposed to it. The problem is that, number one, I don't know how many universes failed to form before this one. I've got no idea, and I don't think anybody knows. Maybe zero. Maybe you could be right. It could be zero. No, maybe it's been trillions. I don't know. The other problem is that I don't know if universes can form under any other conditions. Maybe the universe, in order to form, needed certain conditions that came out like it is, right? Like, for instance, if you get say what is the name of that mineral? There's certain minerals that do not form with any lead in them, right? Like, if there's lead there, the mineral doesn't form. Zircon crystals, right? They do not form if any lead is there whatsoever. So when you see a zircon crystal, you can say, well, what's the chances that formed with no lead in it? And it's like 100%, because it won't form with lead in it. Yeah. We've absolutely tested this. So, what's the chances that a universe will form with these values? I don't know. Maybe it's 75%. I've got no other universes to see.
Really quick, I'm so sorry, guys. I thought my daughter was put down by my husband, like to bed, but she's still wide awake right now. I need to get her butt to bed. She's 2 hours past her bedtime. So Mitch, can you close this out? Mark, I want to subscribe. You said you're a YouTuber. I want to subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, me too. Can you put your...
It's just Mark Reed Atheism. Hold on, just grab a link for you.
Reed.
Oh, if you put in Mark Reed, it should pull me up, I would imagine. I think I'm the only one out there.
This is you right here. 2,500 subscribers?
Yeah, that's
okay. I found you. I'm gonna subscribe. So we can talk more.
I think we can end it there. I really do appreciate you've been the best atheist I've ever talked to, so I appreciate that. Anyway, I would love to continue this conversation because it seems like you know the arguments and you kind of know your way around. So I really appreciate that. Kniesha,
I really thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. I do debate. I see debate as a bit more challenging, like you're challenging the ideas. I don't mind discussions as well. We just like, well, we disagree. What do we disagree on? Like, I don't think it has to be that confrontational. So more than happy to come on again, or, if you want to come on my channel, just hit me up. I'll put my email address in the private chat as well if you do want to contact me, because I'm more than happy to talk about this stuff.
Okay, I just subscribed to you.